Hello, I'm Dr. Alexandre Amato, and today I'm going to talk about where lipedema comes from. So lipedema is that fat deposition, preferably in limbs, that occurs in women. 11% of women have lipedema. Many of them don't know. It's a diseased fat. It's a fat that inflames very easily, so it causes pain. The differentiation from obesity is relatively simple to make in the sense that obesity doesn't hurt and lipedema does. So if there's a fat deposition in the lower limbs and it hurts when pressed, the likelihood of it being lipedema is high. But the question is, where does it come from? Is it a contagious disease? Is it a disease that spreads? Well, lipedema is a genetic disease. We know that diseases with high prevalence, and 11% of women is very high prevalence. So we know that these diseases have a genetic component. So when we start studying the family tree, the family of people who have lipedema, we can identify women in the family who have this similar characteristic of fat deposition in the legs. Often it may not be in the mother's family. The mother may not carry this gene. It may be in the father's family with the women. So we always have to look at the women because cases in men are extremely rare. So when we look at the family tree, always the women. The point is that being a disease of very high prevalence, the genetics probably do not involve just one gene. There are several genes involved. When examining a rare genetic disorder, it is relatively straightforward to pinpoint the responsible gene. However, with a highly prevalent condition, it is evident that multiple genes play a role in its manifestation. Distinguishing between one cohort of individuals with lipedema and another presents significant challenges. Within the lipedema population, isolating a singular gene as the catalyst for the disease is improbable. Upon cross-referencing data, this specific gene remains elusive. Consequently, unraveling the genes implicated in the disorder becomes increasingly complex. And why is this important? So first, the origin of the disease is this: it's a genetic disease. And interestingly, some generations may not show the disease. So it can skip a generation, or someone might carry the gene and not express the disease. And because it's a genetic disease, whenever we think about our children. So we have to identify early, start treatment earlier. There isn't yet a genetic test for identifying lipedema, although there are EAE international efforts to find this genetic map. We can request this test, and even in those larger tests like 23andMe, which does a complete genetic mapping, there is no possibility of diagnosis through genetics, despite us knowing that it is a genetic disease. Another very important aspect is that since there are several different genes involved there, it means that the treatment may not be as effective for one genetic makeup as for another, for one patient as for another. So this must be taken very seriously. What works for one person with lipedema won't necessarily work for another person with lipedema. This can happen due to different genetics. So be very careful when following advice from someone who had great success with something. I'm not saying don't learn from others, that should happen. I'm just saying to use this information with caution. Know that what worked for one person won't necessarily work for you. So never go straight to the most invasive, the most drastic. Start slowly. Have this phase of self-discovery, which is very important. It will be crucial in your life moving forward. Did you enjoy our video? Feel free to share it. Click the bell to stay updated on our new videos and be ready for the next one.